Hello and welcome to the channel. Thanks for stopping by. Great to have you here. Going to take a look at this watch today, the FOXBOX FB0044, a dive style watch from FOXBOX, part of LIGE watches. You can pick this up on AliExpress for about £20, $22. Is it worth that money? Well, we'll take a look in a minute. Now, this is the black version. I kind of went for the stealth one. If you follow the channel, you know I tend to go for black watches. They do several other colours. I'll pop them just up on here, but check out the link. You'll see all the colours on there. Lots of different ones, particularly on the gold ones as well, look really good. Now, $20, as I say, based on a Citizen Promaster style. Let's see what you get for your money. So for your $20, what do you get? Well, you get a good size watch. So it is 45mm in diameter. Now lug to lug is actually quite short at 44mm. So it sits really nice and tight on your wrist. Now I've got an 8-inch wrist, so it sits really well on me. And I think that people with smaller wrists, this would sit really well with because of its design. That sort of, I was going to say square shape, but there's more sides than a square. It's probably a dodecahedron or something. But it sits really nice on the wrist because of that lug to lug. Now strap is 22mm. Well, it's 22mm lugs, but actually where it comes off the shoulders is about 25mm. Thickness, quite a chunky one at 14.3mm. Sits proud on the wrist. And weight, we're looking about 110 grams. Now, that's not particularly heavy for a watch, but because this is all in this kind of smaller space, and the strap is silicone, you do feel that weight on your wrist for 110 grams. Now, some people might not like that, but I actually do. But it wears really well. So, build of the watch, AliExpress states stainless steel, as it does on the case back just here. But I always take that with a little pinch of salt. I don't have the ability to test it myself. It's possibly a coated alloy. But the one thing I will say is I've worn this watch quite a bit, and I have knocked it off things on tables and things like that, and it's not showing any signs of damage, so it's wearing really well, whichever material it is. Now the crystal states Hardlex, but I thought it was more plasticky side of Hardlex, because when I got it, I actually thought it was a screen protector on the top, because it feels like there is. And I've several times I've tried to pick at it from that edge of the crystal, but nothing there. So it just feels a little bit plasticky. Crown, now the crown here, look. Now the one thing I did find on here, it's got this unique, really sort of sawtooth edge bezel on it. And it moves okay. I've had worse watches than this. Now I did get a little bit of back play just on that. So just bear that in mind. But it works, it does what it's supposed to. And it clicks nicely without being the finest of clicks. Now the dial on this watch is this really nice black and gold speckled dial. I hope you can pick that up on the camera. It looks really nice. It's a really nice effect on it. I don't know if the Promasters have that. I've not seen one in real life. They're a little bit expensive for the channel, but they do drop into the price range sometimes. So I will keep my eye open. But yeah, it's a really nice looking dial, and it was far better finished than I thought it was going to be on this. Now obviously we've got FOXBOX above the pinion, and then quartz, water resistant, 50 meters just there. Indices, they're more pressed than they are applied by the look of it, so that's not surprising at a watch at this price. They are filled with lume and edged in silver. We've got the triangles at the 6 and the 9, with a double one at the 12, and then circular everywhere else except for the 3, which has a day date. I'm a big fan of a day date. Now the indices are sort of edged in that silver, but the day date isn't. It's just beveled into the day date window. Hands, well, we've got this rather large hour hand. It's an arrow, again edged in silver, filled with lume with a needle tip, and there just on for the hour hand, more of a cathedral style, again with a tip, and a very fine needle. Seconds hand, that is quite difficult to read sometimes. If you're looking for the seconds, it can disappear against the background. Chapter ring, as you can see, just white markers. Now I've mentioned the bezel before, and actually the design of it with the sort of sawtooth on it, which is nice. Now, one of the things I'm not a big fan of on this watch is the insert in the bezel. I'm not quite sure what it is. I don't think it's metal. I don't think it's ceramic, not at that price. It seems very plasticky, and it feels that. It's the one bit of the watch I'd go, oh, okay, kind of lets it down. You can't, to look at it looks fine, but when you feel it, you'll understand that it just feels like a cheap part of the watch. And I appreciate that this is a budget-friendly watch, but I just think they could possibly miss that, and maybe a loom pip on the bezel insert would have been nice as well. Now, loom, I'll put some video up. Actually, I was surprised with this. It does really quite well. It does pass my 3 AM test. Now, the indices do fade quite quickly, but the hands stay about for quite a while. So, yeah, you can read your watch at 3 o'clock in the morning. You will be able to see what the time is. So I was quite pleased with that. So case back wise, very straightforward. Push on case back. All stainless steel. I think that's relating to the case back rather than the whole watch, but you never know. 5 ATM water resistant, the FOXBOX symbol, and 1853. I think I've said before that I think that relates to the time rather than the year, but if somebody wants to enlighten me, let me know in the comments. But it suits the watch. Might have been nice if it was just black to match the rest of the watch, I suppose. Strap wise, as I say, it's 22mm at the lugs, but it does widen out to 25 when it comes out. It's a silicone strap. The usual kinks in the strap to help with wearing on the wrist. Double retainers. On this one's a black tang buckle. One thing about the strap, it's actually really long. You'll see when I put it on in a minute. It's a really long strap, so if you've got a larger wrist, this would be really good for you. It's a good quality silicone. It's not my favourite. I've never been a big fan of silicone straps. There was many wrist sweat, so I don't tend to go for them as a rule. They do a metal braceleted version of this. Check that out in the link. And that might be worth it. If you're not a fan of silicone straps, it might be worth picking that one up. Here it is on wrist. Now, I've got an 8-inch wrist, and it's rare, but look at that. I've still got 4 holes on the strap. So if you've got a bigger wrist like me, you are going to find that great. If you've got a smaller wrist, you might find that might be a bit too long and poking out the back. But it wears really nicely. Strap nice and long, as I say. Silicone. Yeah, I just really like it. It's not a style of watch I would have normally picked. However, since wearing this, I would certainly look at other colours in these, or the Citizen Promaster. As I say, it's rare that they would drop into the channel's budget, but I have seen them drop in, so I will keep my eye open. But overall, for the price that you've paid, it's a really good watch. The quality's good, the finish on the body, the plating is really nice, it's even. I say I've given it a few bangs. My only niggle would be that bezel insert. It just looks a little plasticky. I've seen much better on other watches, but again, not moaning for the price, it's great. I'd really recommend picking one of these up if you like this style of watch, and there's plenty of colours to go at. I've put a link in the description to check that out. But if that isn't your style of watch and you want something a bit plainer, this might be more your style. This is a fantastic Bernie simple railway style clock watch. I'll put a link to that at the end of the video. Thanks to everybody who's liked, watched and subscribed, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.